Good day, viewers. You're welcome to Science Spectrum with Don. This is the third part of the first lecture in the series of videos in the classification of living organisms. We also call that taxonomy, which is embedded in the code Biology 190, the fundamentals of biology. If you're new to the channel, you may want to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thank you. Now, previously, from the second lecture, earlier, we talked about organisms that belong to the first kingdom, which we call kingdom prokaryotes. Now we saw that the cells of such living organisms lack some organelles. For one, take for instance mitochondria. Then aside from that, we saw that the DNA is not housed in the nucleus. So there is no distinct cellular organization, right? And of course, an example to an organism you find in that kingdom is the cyanobacteria. Now we talk about living organisms that belong to the second kingdom, which we call the kingdom Protista or kingdom Protists. Now for one, I'd like you to understand that organisms in this kingdom actually evolved. They were believed to have evolved from organisms that belong to the first kingdom, which we call kingdom prokaryotes. Now, aside from this, they show a distinct level of cellular organization compared to organisms we find in kingdom prokaryotes. So we call this eukaryotes. For one, it's based on the fact that their nucleus is housed in a double membrane. So organisms in kingdom Protists, kingdom Protista, are believed to have evolved from kingdom prokaryotes, okay, which is believed to have evolved about 3,500 million years ago. Now, aside from this, we call living organisms in this kingdom, we call them eukaryotes. Why? For one, it's because the nucleus is bound by a double membrane. Aside from this, they show a distinct level of cellular organization compared to the prokaryotes. All right. Now, it is believed that 250,000 of these species exist. So 250,000 species of organisms you find in this kingdom exists. But 60,000 of the species are known. All right, so we'll talk more about series of living organisms, okay, in the groups. Now, basically, there is a collective name we assign to organisms, okay, that fits into two groups. For one, you have algae. You have organisms that come under the general name algae, and of course the protozoans. So let's talk more about that. Algae. So organisms in this kingdom that come under this group, algae, we find the green algae. We find the green algae here. We also call this chlorophyta. An example of such an organism is called Chlamydomonas. So an example is Chlamydomonas. So we'll talk more about this in a moment. You also have the red algae. The red algae. We call this the Rhodophyta. So the group comes under this Rhodophyta. And lastly, we have the brown algae. We have the brown algae. We have the brown algae, which we call the Phaeophyta. Phaeophyta. And of course, it is believed though that the green algae, they are single-celled. They are single-celled. While the red and the brown algae, which we often see as seaweeds, which we also often categorize as seaweeds, that they are multicellular. They are multicellular. All right, I may need to wipe this part off. You may need to bring this for a while. All right. Now, let's be more detailed. Let me be more detailed about algae. Now, algae, organisms you find in this category could be single-celled, or multicellular. So for one, an example of an organism you find in the single-celled algae, you find number one, you have euglena. The euglenids come under this category. You have diatoms. You have dinoflagellates. Then lastly, you have the green algae. The green algae, for example, Chlamydomonas comes under this category. So I need to stick in green algae. Example, you have your Chlamydomonas. Alright, they come under this category. Then for the multicellular algae, they are simply the seaweeds, which we refer to as the red and the brown algae. So you find the red algae and the brown algae in this category. Now, I also need to stress this point, I need to wipe this off, that the protozoans, which is now the second group of living organisms, aside from algae, right, which makes up this group of organisms, you also have the protozoans. So that's number two. I need to wipe this off. So you have the protozoans. So you find, aside from the algae, number one, just the general name for this group of organisms. So you find number two, you have the protozoans. So examples of protozoans, you find flagellates. These are organisms that have a flagella, okay? Just a whip-like structure, okay, that enhances their movement. An example of this, you find euglena in this category, which is single-celled. Aside from this, you find ciliates. An example of this, you find paramecium in that category. Okay, the structure consists of a cilia, a hair-like structure, so paramecium. Then we have the sporozoans. And in this category of sporozoans, you find them trypanosoma. Okay, trypanosome is an organism, an example of an organism we find there. Then thirdly, we have the fungus-like protists. We have the fungus-like protists. Fungus-like protists. An example of this, you find the slim and the water mold. So slim mold is in this category, and water mold. Mold, M-O-L-D. Right, M-O-L-D. Slim mold and water mold. All right, now we need to take note of this, that the protozoans, which comprise of the flagellates, ciliates, and the sporozoans, that they are also single-celled. They are single-celled. They're single-celled, while the algae, okay, vary in their cell, okay, types. All right, now, so let me be more detailed now about the single-celled algae. Afterwards, we'll talk about the multicellular algae, right? And of course, come back to the protozoans and the fungus-like protists. All right, now I need to wipe this off. All right, so let me talk about the first one, which is the first single-celled organism. That's Euglena. Euglena. By the way, let me stress this point briefly. Organisms you find in kingdom protists, they're believed to live in oceans. You find them in bodies of fresh water. Okay, you find them in moistened soil. Aside from that, you also find them as parasites in living organisms. Okay, so they live in moistened environments. Okay, and they feed from the fluid of these organisms. All right, so let's start with the first single-celled algae. Cell algae. Number one is Euglena, okay, and Euglenic. So you're free to imagine this shape. Yeah, something like so. Okay. Then you have a flagella, okay, a flagella like so. Of course, there is a second flagella here, a second one. This is the second one. Then we have something like so. This is the reservoir. Then you have the contractile vacuole like so, right? This is the pellicle. Okay, let me just label this. This is the flagella, flagellum for singular, like a whip-like structure. You have the pellicle. The pellicle gives its shape, okay? And of course, it helps in its streamlining when it's in motion. You have the reservoir, okay? You have the basal bodies, okay? You have the basal bodies. You have the para, just somewhere around here. You have the para, okay? Myelin granules, myelin granules. So you have the chloroplast somewhere around here. There is the chloroplast here. Chloroplasts. Then we have the nucleus. It's somewhere around here. We have the nucleus somewhere around here. So this is just a typical, okay, Euglena, a typical euglenate. Now, there is one distinct thing about the euglenates. For one, is that they all, okay, comprise of these components. But when we talk about their ways of metabolism, okay, it varies. For one, is that you find out that some euglenates, they are autotrophs. They manufacture their own food themselves. Just a few of them, but majority are autotrophs. And they are heterotrophs, so to speak. They look out for, they obtain energy, okay, from other living organisms. Now, for the sake of time, I may need to wrap it up here. But let me just talk briefly about the diatoms, okay? About the diatoms. I may need to write this off. So let me talk briefly, okay, time permits, about the diatoms. So diatoms look just like so. Find this just like so. This kind of a structure, okay? Then you have silicon dioxide here. Okay? This silicon dioxide, we call this silica. Okay? Silica readily forms fossils with holes. Okay? With holes which are used in, for one, scoring powder. Two, we use them in toothpaste, and of course number three in specialty soaps. That's some special soaps, okay, where they use the fossil that evolved from silicon dioxide in the cell wall. So this silicon dioxide is actually found in the cell wall of a typical diatom. Now, a diatom, basically, most of them are autotrophs. They photosynthesize the food themselves. But a few also, okay, are actually heterotrophs. So for the sake of time, I may need to wrap it up here. And of course, in a subsequent bulletin, I'll proceed from here. So if you're new to the channel, you may want to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thank you.